You walk into a store looking for your favorite American brands. You grab a bottle of ketchup, a candy bar, or maybe even check out a pickup truck. You assume these products are proudly made in the USA. But what if I told you many of these iconic American products are now manufactured just across the border in Canada? In 2025, Trump's new tariffs and trade policies have quietly reshaped the way America sources its goods. Tariffs on auto imports jumped to 25%, while other products face reciprocal tariffs ranging from 10% to 41%. This has pushed companies to shift production to Canada to avoid steep costs. What does this mean for American jobs, prices, and the future of manufacturing? In this video, we'll reveal the top 10 American products that have quietly become made in Canada. We'll also explore the impact on U.S. states losing jobs and revenue without most consumers even realizing it. Stay tuned as we pull back the curtain on this surprising trade shift affecting your wallet and your community. Let's dive in. Number 10, Heinz Tomato Ketchup. Heinz Tomato Ketchup is a staple on American dining tables. What many don't know is that since 2020, a large portion of Heinz ketchup has been produced in Mont-Royal, Quebec. This plant revived after years of dormancy and now processes over 100 million pounds of ketchup annually. The tomatoes used are primarily grown in Ontario, not the American Midwest as most assume. These Canadian-grown tomatoes are processed, bottled, and shipped back into the U.S. under USMCA trade rules. There's no big announcement or Made in Canada label that stands out on the shelves. Chicago has become the key logistics hub distributing this ketchup across the Midwest. For American consumers, the taste and brand remain exactly the same. But behind the scenes, jobs tied to agriculture, trucking, and processing have quietly shifted north. This shift means that your next backyard barbecue in Illinois could be topped with Canadian-made ketchup, all without most people ever realizing it. Number 9, O. Henry/Rally Bar. The O. Henry candy bar was once a beloved staple in American candy aisles. In 2019, Hershey discontinued O. Henry production in the U.S., surprising many fans. However, production never stopped north of the border in Smiths Falls, Ontario. Hershey Canada not only continued making the bar, but also introduced a revamped version called the Rally Bar. By 2025, these Canadian-made candy bars quietly made their way back into U.S. stores. Most American shoppers don't realize they're buying a product made in Canada linked to an American classic. This shift resulted in lost production jobs in Pennsylvania and fewer contracts for local suppliers. Canada leveraged USMCA trade rules to export Rally bars tariff-free, gaining a competitive advantage. Though the packaging and taste remain familiar, the manufacturing story has changed. This example highlights the broader trend of American products being produced outside the U.S. without much public notice. Number 8, Sour Patch Kids and Swedish Fish. Sour Patch Kids and Swedish Fish are among the most beloved candies across North America. By 2025, the majority of these candies are produced at Mondelez's large facility located in Hamilton, Ontario. Many American consumers don't realize that the sour gummies and chewy red fish they enjoy actually begin their journey in Canada. Thanks to USMCA trade agreements, these Canadian-made candies enter the U.S. market without paying additional tariffs. This shift has led to decreased demand for packaging and processing jobs in states like New Jersey. Local warehouses and co-packers now see fewer contracts as the production process becomes more centralized in Canada. On store shelves, the branding, taste, and appearance remain the same, so most shoppers remain unaware of the change. However, behind the scenes, the candy supply chain has quietly moved north, impacting American jobs and value-added work in U.S. states. This example highlights how manufacturing is shifting across borders with little public attention, quietly reshaping the industry. Number 7, Chevrolet Silverado Pickup. The Chevrolet Silverado is one of America's most iconic pickup trucks. Since 2025, a large portion of Silverado production has shifted to General Motors' massive assembly plant in Oshawa, Ontario. GM invested over 1.3 billion Canadian dollars to revive this facility and increase output. This move benefits from provincial tax incentives, lower energy costs, and streamlined supply chains under USMCA. For many American buyers, the trucks still proudly wear the Chevrolet badge and look the same. But the van, starting with 2, reveals they were actually built in Canada, not Detroit or other U.S. plants. This shift has serious impacts on American suppliers, especially in states like Indiana. Local parts manufacturers and Tier 2 and Tier 3 suppliers face fewer contracts and declining production orders. While most consumers may never notice, this change quietly reshapes the American auto industry and job market. It's a prime example of how Trump tariffs and trade policies have pushed production just across the border. Number 6, BrightDrop EV 600 van. The BrightDrop EV 600 is General Motors' flagship electric delivery van. Its production is centered at the CAMI assembly plant in Ingersoll, Ontario, North America's first large-scale EV van factory. Backed by nearly $2 billion in investment, the plant was designed to produce up to 50,000 vans annually. However, by early 2025, sales fell short with only 274 units sold in the first quarter. This led GM to pause production from April through October 2025, cutting shifts and laying off hundreds of workers. The slowdown impacts not only Canadian workers, but also U.S. customers in Ohio relying on these vans for fleet electrification. With production halted, delivery fleet upgrades are delayed, leasing contracts postponed, and local service providers face uncertainty. Once production restarts, Canadian-built EV 600 vans will enter the U.S. market tariff-free under USMCA. For now, the pause highlights challenges in the EV rollout and its ripple effects across borders. This situation underscores the complex interplay between trade policies, manufacturing, and emerging technologies. Number 5, BRIDGEMIX. Bridge Mix is a popular chocolate-covered assortment that includes peanuts, raisins, and other sweets. Since 2025, most Bridge Mix production has been centralized at Hershey Canada's facility in Smiths Falls, Ontario. This consolidation allows Hershey to benefit from lower production costs and favorable USMCA trade terms. As a result, packaging and distribution operations on the U.S. West Coast, especially in California, have seen reduced activity. Local warehouses, trucking jobs, and co-packing roles that once supported Bridge Mix are now impacted. Despite these changes, consumers continue to find the same familiar Bridge Mix bags on store shelves. The fine print reveals, "Manufactured by Hershey Canada, Inc." A detail many shoppers might overlook. This quiet shift moves significant value-added work out of American states, reshaping supply chains without much public attention. Number 4, Jeep Compass SUV. The Jeep Compass is a key model in Stellantis' North American lineup. In recent years, Stellantis announced a $1.3 billion investment to bring Compass production to its Brampton, Ontario plant. The plan included both traditional internal combustion and hybrid electric versions. However, in early 2025, the project was paused due to a newly imposed 25% U.S. auto tariff on Canadian-made vehicles. Economic uncertainties added further pressure, leaving nearly 3,000 Canadian workers in limbo. On the U.S. side, Michigan missed out on high-value assembly jobs and related supplier contracts. This pause impacts not just employment, but also engineering teams and logistics partners tied to the Compass program. If production resumes as planned in 2026, many Compass SUVs will enter the U.S. tariff-free under USMCA. For now, Michigan's opportunity to build this model has quietly shifted across the border. Number 3, DODGECHARGER. Since 2005, the Dodge Charger has been assembled exclusively at Stellantis' Brampton, Ontario plant. Although it's widely seen as a Detroit muscle car icon, none of the Chargers are actually produced in Michigan. Brampton offers a highly skilled workforce, lower operating costs, and favorable trade terms thanks to the USMCA agreement. This manufacturing shift has meant a loss of jobs, supplier contracts, and engineering opportunities for Michigan's auto industry. Rumors say that 2025 will mark the end of the final gasoline-powered Charger, closing a significant chapter in muscle car history. Collectors view these Canadian-built Chargers as the last of a beloved breed. If Stellantis develops an electric Charger in the future, Brampton is likely to be the production site. This muscle car's journey reflects how cross-border manufacturing has quietly reshaped the American automotive legacy. Number 2, Chrysler Pacifica minivan. The Chrysler Pacifica minivan has been built exclusively in Windsor, Ontario, since 2016. It holds the distinction of being the only plug-in hybrid minivan offered in the U.S. market. making the Windsor plant crucial for Stellantis. By mid-2025, the plant increased production to meet growing consumer demand. While Detroit remains important for parts supply, engineering, and logistics, final assembly jobs and much of the manufacturing value now reside in Canada. Thanks to the USMCA trade agreement, Windsor-built Pacificas enter the U.S. tariff-free and seamlessly reach American showrooms. Consumers receive the same quality, features, and brand experience they expect. However, this cross-border production highlights a major shift in where manufacturing jobs and economic benefits are created within the auto industry. The Detroit-Windsor corridor stands as a prime example of how integrated and interdependent the U.S. and Canadian automotive sectors have become. Number 1. Multi-sector impact and Texas price shock. Texas sits at the crossroads of U.S. trade and feels the effects of Trump Tariffs 2025 more than most states. The 25% auto tariff on Canadian-built vehicles has pushed prices higher for pickups, commercial vans, and fleet vehicles across the state. At the same time, Gulf Coast ports handle a wide range of Canadian consumer goods, many now facing reciprocal tariffs between 10% and 41%. This tariff landscape has squeezed profit margins for businesses, forcing tough decisions on sourcing and pricing. For everyday Texans, it means steadily rising costs on vehicles, groceries, and household essentials. While some goods still enter duty-free under USMCA rules, the overall volatility has added pressure on wallets. Texas consumers are witnessing firsthand how trade policies ripple beyond Washington and Ottawa, showing up in their monthly budgets. This multi-sector impact reveals how interconnected the economy is and highlights the real consequences of shifting production across borders. Why Canada wins? Canada's rise as a manufacturing powerhouse amid the Trump Tariffs 2025 is no accident. Several strategic advantages give Canada the upper hand in attracting production that once took place in the U.S. First, provincial tax incentives provide significant cost savings for companies choosing to operate north of the border. These incentives lower operating expenses and make large-scale manufacturing projects financially viable. Second, Canada benefits from lower energy costs compared to many U.S. states, helping reduce overhead for energy-intensive industries. Third, the Canadian workforce is highly skilled and experienced, especially in automotive and advanced manufacturing sectors. This talent pool ensures quality production while supporting innovation and efficiency. Fourth, world-class border infrastructure between the U.S. and Canada facilitates smooth, efficient cross-border trade. Ports, highways, and customs systems are optimized to minimize delays and keep supply chains flowing. Together, these factors create a compelling package that entices companies to invest heavily in Canadian facilities. Examples like GM's Oshawa Silverado plant, Cami's electric van factory in Ingersoll, and Stellantis' Windsor minivan plant showcase this strategy in action. For U.S. states competing for manufacturing jobs, Canada's combination of incentives, cost advantages, and access to the American market poses a tough challenge. This well-planned approach ensures that Canada not only attracts new investments, but also secures a lasting role in North America's supply chains. In the face of shifting tariffs and trade policies, Canada's edge is clear, making it a winning location for manufacturing in 2025 and beyond. Alerts and actions. With production shifting north, it's crucial for consumers, businesses, and communities to stay alert and take action. For consumers, the Made in Canada label may become more common on products you once assumed were American-made. Be aware that these changes can lead to higher prices on everyday items like vehicles, groceries, and household goods. Checking product origins and staying informed about tariffs can help you make smarter purchasing decisions. For businesses, revisiting contracts and supply chains is essential to minimize tariff exposure. Use the rules of origin under USMCA to keep operations efficient and avoid unnecessary costs. Locking in favorable supplier agreements now can protect profit margins amid ongoing policy changes. Communities near the U.S.-Canada border should closely monitor announcements about production shifts, plant expansions, or pauses in Canada. Changes in Canadian facilities can quickly affect jobs and economies in nearby U.S. towns tied to parts supply, logistics, or labor. Early awareness allows for proactive measures to reduce impact and support affected workers. Staying informed and adaptable is key to navigating the evolving trade landscape in 2025. Taking these alerts seriously can help smooth the transition and protect both consumers and local economies. Trump tariffs 2025 have quietly reshaped where many American products are made. From ketchup to pickups, production is moving across the border to Canada. This shift impacts jobs, prices, and local economies in ways most consumers don't see. What surprised you the most in today's list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore how these trade changes are affecting tourism and energy sectors. Thanks for watching.